Yo, what's going on, Turbo Nation? Welcome back to the channel, and welcome if you're new. So today we're gonna go over the changes that happened with the assault rifles, most notably the Krig 6, Groza, and the FFAR1. So we're gonna find out, are these buffs actually significant, and is it enough to shift the meta in Black Ops Cold War? Also, if you're curious about the same thing for the SMGs, I did also do a weapon testing video as well to show comparisons of before and after the patch notes were released. I did some testing on those as well. So if you guys want to see what exactly changed with the SMGs, make sure to check that video out down below in the description. And make sure to leave a like on this video if you do enjoy. I'd really appreciate it. It would help me out in the YouTube algorithm to get shown to a much wider audience. Make sure to subscribe if you're new around here, or if you constantly watch my videos but you haven't subscribed yet, make it official today. Join Turbo Nation and let's get on with the video. So starting off with the Krig 6, one of the changes here were the improved visibility while firing in ADS, as well as the complete tuning pass on weapon accuracy, weapon movement, and visual clarity while firing in any optic attachment. So before the patch came out, I was able to record some footage of firing in ADS with the Krig 6, and then after the update rolled out, I went ahead and recorded the same exact footage. And now let's go ahead and compare to see if there actually are any noticeable changes with the Krig 6, especially with visual clarity while firing with any optic attachment. All right, so apparently the Krig 6 visibility was fixed. And honestly, I didn't even really notice this. The only thing that I really noticed with the Krig 6 pre-patch was that it was almost impossible to use the iron sights because they kind of just get in the way. They're super bulky, and it's like, it feels like it's really up close to your face. So I'm not even going to tell you which one's pre-patch, which one's post-patch. So I just want to show you this clip first. You let me know down below in the comments after watching this clip of which one did you assume was the post-patch and which ones did you assume was the pre-patch, left or right side, and let me know if you got it right or not. So I'm just going to let this play in real time first. All right, and now I'm going to play it one more time for you guys, and then we're going to do it frame by frame. All right, how about one more time? One more time for good measure. All right, so if you answered that the pre-patch was on the left side, you are correct. Post-patch is on the right side. Now, I've been looking at this for hours. Like, I'm not even joking, man. I honestly, I didn't see anything different. Remember, this is pre-patch. This is post-patch. Now, if we take a look at it frame by frame here, they say they improved the visibility. I guess one thing that I did notice was the muzzle flash. There was quite a little bit more noticeable muzzle flash on the Krig 6 pre-patch, as you can see there. Now, if you just, compare the two, there isn't as much noticeable muzzle flash on the right side. And we're just going to keep going here. Just keep paying attention to the inside of the iron sights here compared to the inside of the iron sights here. Let me know down below in the comments. Maybe my eyes are deceiving me, but like I said, I've been looking at this for the longest time. And the only noticeable difference that I can see is that the visibility is a little bit better on the post-patch. Now, there is still some muzzle flash concealment, that is expected, but it doesn't seem to be as obstructive as the pre-patch. There are some instances where the muzzle flash does, cover your entire vision right here, like here, for example, but it doesn't happen nearly as often as the pre-patch, in my opinion. But you guys let me know down below in the comments what you think of this, if you actually did see any noticeable changes. Now, another thing that I was looking for was the whole floating gun thing. I'm not really sure what that actually meant. So one thing that I was kind of looking for was the background to see if the screen was shaking as much as pre-patch. So let's pay attention to the pre-patch here. I'm going to play it in real time. It almost looked identical to me. Let's watch it again one more time. The screen shake. See if you notice it. Yeah, it almost looks identical to me, and I really thought it was going to be the visibility of the gun overall. It's going to look a little bit smaller on your screen, so you just have more visibility when you're looking at your opponent, and that was the main problem with the Krig. All right, so here's the Krig 6 with the Microflex LED, one of my favorite attachments to put on my assault rifles. So we're going to go ahead and play this in real time first. I don't know, maybe it's a placebo effect that I'm kind of expecting the post patch to, you know, give us less muzzle flash. You know, I have to break it down here frame by frame and look at it over and over again. So that means that there really isn't any significant difference to where, you know, you put it on, you'll be like, whoa, there's a huge difference here. Because if it's barely noticeable, I really don't see the point in, you know, making it known that some changes were implemented. But, you know, from what we see here, I really, honestly, I don't really see a difference. So, you know, you let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. All right, so circling back to the spreadsheet here, one thing I did want to revisit about the Krig 6 changes were the tuning pass on weapon accuracy. So pre 1.14, we have our recoil stats here. And as you can see, the baseline for the Krig 6 was 276 vertical, -32 horizontal. And after the patch, both the vertical and the horizontal recoil actually got worse. There were some minor changes with the attachments. So I'm going to point out just a couple obvious ones here. For example, the SOCOM Eliminator pre-patch, it was -17 to your recoil. And in this particular circumstance, negative is a good thing because you want to reduce that recoil as much as possible. So -17 to your vertical recoil versus post-patch -15. The +10 in the horizontal recoil and +15 in the horizontal recoil. And this change was actually worse. It went from +10 to +15. So now we have to think twice about it. You know, that difference in the horizontal recoil control is pretty significant now post-patch. Now let's move on to the FFAR. I was pretty excited about this change because this actually looks pretty promising. So they state that they increased the ballistic speed by 12.8%. So this is actually just another way of saying bullet velocity. So the ballistic speed pre-patch was 625 meters per second. Now it is at 705 meters per second. Now, if you take a look here, we have the pre-FFAR1 with the base bullet velocity of 625. This buff in the bullet velocity is actually huge. Now, this is what the bullet velocity looks like now, 705 meters per second. Again, we're going to compare this to the rest and, you know, just, you know, taking a quick glance, the base bullet velocity of the FFAR1 has the best bullet velocity in all of the assault rifle categories. Now, one thing that made it even better was that the attachments that do increase bullet velocity, it makes it the most bullet velocity out of all the assault rifles in the game. And this includes the FFAR, which technically held the crown for the best bullet velocity, you know, before this patch happened. I do need to test out these bullet velocities to see if the barrels do what they say they do. And the reason why bullet velocity is very important in Cold War is because there's bullet drop. So at certain ranges, if you don't have enough bullet velocity and you're trying to shoot a moving target, you might get some hit markers on your opponent. And, you know, that's why sometimes it may be confusing that maybe there's something wrong with your connection, but really it's because you're lacking in that bullet velocity. But typically we don't have these issues with assault rifles because they have pretty good bullet velocity as is for the size of the maps that we usually play on. But if you are playing on a huge map, then you definitely want to put on a barrel that does increase that bullet velocity. So that's just one thing I just wanted to point out, just to compare it to the rest of the assault rifles, to show you how significant this change actually is on the FFAR. Last but not least, we have the Groza changes, increased maximum damage range by 40%. Long story short, I'm going to say this is one of the winners as far as all the changes that happen in the game, because this range increase is actually pretty insane. And now it's going to make it one of the most viable assault rifles in the game. It's going to make it very competitive because, as you can see, pre-patch, the ranges weren't that impressive. It was only at 38 meters. All right, so taking a look here, we have all our assault rifle damage profiles, ranges, and times to kill. And here in the gray is the old Groza range, damage, and time to kill. Here's the new one right here. So starting off with this comparison versus the XM4, the Groza just beats the XM4 at all ranges, no matter where you're shooting your opponent at. You can just take a look, pause the video if you want to. 249 headshot versus a 240 millisecond headshot. Moving on to the QBZ. 𝗬𝗎𝗍 has a range of 45 meters versus 53 meters, and within that range, the Groza wins again, 240 versus 264, and then 320 versus 352 on the 𝗬𝗎𝗍. Groza definitely outguns the Krig 6 at all ranges, and it doesn't matter where you're shooting your opponent, Groza is still going to beat the Krig 6, and the time to kills are definitely noticeable between the two here. All right, so when we're looking at the FFAR 83, you may think, oh, the FFAR has the Groza beat. Well, you're wrong, and here's why. So let's look at this in a logical standpoint as well. Sometimes, yes, these numbers are great to look at. It's a good baseline to, give you an understanding of how a weapon works from a technical standpoint. But let's talk about some logical things here. In most of our multiplayer matches, there are typically small to medium-sized maps. Most of your engagements, they usually happen within 40 meters. So taking that into account, within this 0 to 63 meter range versus a 0 to 53 meter range, the only thing that the FFAR has an advantage over the Groza is a headshot. Now, keep in mind, these two time to kill numbers are very competitive, so it all just comes down to, can your opponent hit their shots with the FFAR? If they can and they're very accurate with those headshots, then of course, obviously, they are going to kill you faster. Now, if it's a body shot, the change is very significant here. 320 millisecond time to kill if you're going to aim at the opponent's body versus a 375 millisecond time to kill with the FFAR. So the clear winner obviously is the Groza so far. Now, another argument that I want to state about the FFAR is that, yeah, the FFAR is going to be the best super long range weapon. It's got the fastest time to kill from 63 meters and beyond. I would definitely see this being viable on a select few maps where you're actually engaging in those ranges, like Satellite, for example, or maybe Miami. But other than that, most of the multiplayer maps in the game, all your gunfights usually fall within that 40 meter range. Last but not least, we have the AK-47 comparison here. So the AK-47 doesn't have much range to it. It's pretty similar to the FFAR. It's not really great at bullet velocity, although it has some pretty insane time to kills inside that 38 meter range. And the AK-47 definitely does have some recoil to it, so it's not going to be as viable outside of 38 meters if you're going to go against a Groza. I would still go for the Groza as one of the most versatile assault rifles in the game. It used to be the FFAR, but now with this range increase, I think the Groza is the real winner here as far as the most versatile assault rifle in the game. But that's about it for today's video. Hopefully you guys did learn something and you did enjoy. Be sure to stay tuned for more videos because I am going to be doing a lot more testing, and then we're going to finally narrow it down, what exactly is the new meta in season 2. Let me know down below in the comments what you personally think is now the new meta, given that I've given you all this information, and as well as the SMGs as well. If you haven't seen my SMG breakdown of what happened after the patch, make sure to check that video down below in the description. But like is appreciated. Make sure to subscribe if you're brand new around here. Join Turbo Nation today. Make it official. And I will see you guys in the next one. Let's go, baby. Use code TURBO at GamerAdvantage.com if you want to get some swaggy blue light blocking glasses like this. And also, if you want to go outside, you can still protect your eyes just by doing something as simple as that. Ladies and gentlemen, get yourself a pair at GamerAdvantage.com. Let's go, baby. Link down below in the description for more information.